All right, good morning, folks, and happy Monday. Give me a quick sound check here, make sure we are rocking and rolling. Good morning, Garth, Lorna, Briggs, Art, Mandy. Happy Monday. All right, we should be good to go, so we shall jump in. And the biggest thing I'm seeing into this week, 3-day squeezes. And being that a 3-day squeeze is pretty much one notch below a weekly squeeze, when they fire, that can lead to a pretty nice move. So for the indices here, we have a 3-day squeeze on the IWM, the QQQ, the Dow, and the S&Ps. If we jump over to the sectors here, we have 3-day squeezes in XLK, XLP, XLY, the semiconductors, and the communication sector. And then for the big boys, the money makers, Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, SMCI, Meta, and Netflix. Now, jumping back to the indices real quick, as far as taking those 3-day squeezes and trying to call for direction, if you check out the big three score here for the daily chart, it's neutral at best. IWM gets a 3 out of 12. QQQ gets a 1 out of 12. The Dow has a -1, and the S&Ps have a +3. When that begins to shift into either a nice strong reading, so a 7, 8, 9, or a 10, or vice versa, a -7, a -10, then I think we can take the 3-day squeezes and with a bit more confidence call for a direction. For now, at least, being that our daily charts are neutral, that does warrant a little bit of patience. Now, the bulls made some decent progress last week. If you check out the S&Ps here, they're back above that 21 EMA. The signals have shifted from bearish to neutral. If they can break it above that 51.30, I think 51.30 is a really important level. We got our daily 50, and we also have the 200 SMA from the hourly chart. If they can get it and keep it above that 51.30, then the bulls can build on the progress they made last week. So we'll start from the top here. On the monthly chart, things are perfect. Structure is bullish. We have a monthly buy signal and a perfect score at 12. Great looking monthly chart. If we drop down to the weekly, so far, they're doing a really good job of holding support here at that weekly 21 EMA. In the context of an uptrend, holding that 21 EMA, it's a really big piece of the puzzle if eventually we're looking for a continuation of that uptrend. So they're doing a good job so far, and the structure remains bullish. We still got our buy signal, and the weekly chart grades out as a 10 out of 12. So very bullish. And then for the Qs here, the almighty QQQ. Monthly chart is perfect. A good structure, buy signal, perfect 12. Dropping down to the weekly, it's a little bit more neutral, but neutral in the favor of the bulls, with a big three score of 7 out of 12. We did lose our weekly buy signal. The structure has gone a bit more neutral, but very much like the S&Ps, for now they're doing a good job of keeping that ship afloat above that weekly 21. So from there, if we check out the 3-day squeezes, 3-day squeeze here for the QQQ, it's a lot like that weekly squeeze, or the weekly chart rather. We lost our buy signal. Structure is a bit more neutral, but they're keeping it above that 21. We got a big three score of 7. Taking that 3-day chart at face value, it does lean a little bit in the favor of the bulls. Now, here's the key. For conversation's sake, if they're going to take that 3-day squeeze, take out the highs, fire that thing to the upside, at that point, the QQQ sees a brand new all-time high. they can't fire that 3-day squeeze to the upside unless all the time frames inside of it, so the 2-day time frame, the daily, the 4-hour, unless they confirm that move. So dropping down to the daily time frame, and that's where things are really neutral. Neutral meaning not overly bullish, not overly bearish. Frankly, it could go either which way. No buy signal, no sell signal. And we got a big 3 score of 1. From my point of view, that warrants a little bit of patience. They're making progress. The key is, can they keep that progress and continue to build on it? They've got it back above the daily 21. For now, they've canceled out the sell signal. The key level here for the Qs, the daily 50. If that daily 50 ends up being a bigger level of resistance, that could spank the market lower, at which point, if they spank it and they're taking out that 21 EMA, we could head back down towards those lows. If they can keep it above that daily 50, doesn't so much guarantee the 3-day squeeze fire as long. But I do think from a structure point of view, it does put the bulls in control. So the theme this week is patience. The theme is the bulls have made a little progress. Can they continue to build on that progress? All the while keeping in mind, they've got some built up energy. When the 3-day squeeze fires, whether that be in the form of a flush lower or a push higher, I think as far as a big swing tradable move, that should be our next big move. And I, for one, want to be all over that. And then for a few stock picks here, let's go take a look at the money makers again. Few of them look really good, and a few of them leave a little bit to be desired. AMD, Netflix, Meta, SMCI, and Microsoft, they've got a -6. Do I have to short them? Not necessarily. Do I want to jump in here and buy a -6? Not really. Amazon, Google, and where's NVIDIA? And NVIDIA, they grade out much better. Google's got a perfect 12. Amazon's got a 10 out of 12, and NVIDIA here has a 7. So as far as the big boy Mag 7 stocks, if I'm looking for a long, those would be my 3 picks. NVIDIA, Google, and the Zon. So for NVIDIA here, we have a daily, a 2-day, and a 3-day squeeze. If we go check out that 3-day squeeze, it's pretty bullish. Big 3 score of 10. We've got the slingshot signal coming through. Structure is bullish. And they've got that thing above the launching pad. 21 EMA is your launching pad. Dropping down to the 2-day time frame. That's pretty bullish for the most part. And then for the daily squeeze, the key level this week, 900. You could call it 910. We'll call it 900. If they can break it above that 900 level with conviction, we could see a bit of that domino effect. Break it above that 900, break it above resistance, at which point that daily squeeze might fire long. From there, if they can fire that daily squeeze long, then they can wake up the 2-day squeeze. If they can fire that 2-day squeeze to the upside, then they can wake up the 3-day squeeze. And if the 3-day squeeze fires, I think we're getting NVIDIA into new highs here. So I'm keeping a very close eye on that one. And then for Google, Google's a beast. Perfect 12 on the monthly. A perfect 12 on the weekly. And keep in mind, they just fired a weekly squeeze. So we're only 1, 2, 3, 4. Today will be 5 bars in. A good weekly squeeze, that can take you for, anywhere from 8 to 10 bars. So it's got a little wind at its back. And then last week, you pulled back into your daily 8 EMA. The buyers came in where they should. They held support where they should. Mark up that 163. Above that 163, we have a 2-hour and a 1-hour squeeze. Watch that 1 hour and that 2-hour squeeze. That could make for a nice entry for a pushback up here towards these highs. And then for Amazon, so I'm long Amazon. And we have a 3-day, a 2-day, a daily, a 15-minute, and a 5-minute squeeze. What I'm looking for this week, a move into 190. Now, the daily squeeze calls for a push towards a little bit closer to 200. What I would like to do at 190, I've got a call debit spread, an out the money call debit spread. If they can push it into the call wall at 190, for conversation's sake, let's say I make $1,000 on the push towards 190. I'm going to take off my $1,000 of profit, and then I can take anywhere from 25 to 50% of that profit, open up a quote-unquote free trade a little bit further out the money. So it could be something where they push it into 190. I'm taking $1,000 of profit. I turn around, I take $500, and I open up a call butterfly at 200 for the end of May. Something along those lines. So Amazon, Google, Nvidia, looking good for the big dogs. And then as far as the sectors go, the strongest sectors here are XLP and XLU. XLP's got a perfect 12, and XLU has a perfect 12. For XLP, there's a good-looking 4-hour squeeze today. Let's go take a look at that. Very nice 4-hour squeeze. And to keep it simple, you could just trade the XLP. You can trade the XLP, or you can trade the XLP holdings. If you're going to trade the XLP holdings, I'm liking Costco and a few more. It's the same theme. The theme being bigger time frame squeezes. Costco has a daily, a 2-day, and a 3-day squeeze. There is Coca-Cola. Coke has a weekly and a 3-day squeeze. You've got Pepsi. Pepsi has a 30-minute, 1-hour, 2-hour, 4-hour, and a weekly squeeze. Here's a 4-hour. She show is pretty. And then for the utility stocks, my favorite would be Duke. Duke has earnings tomorrow. So I'm probably going to hold off, get through earnings, and take a fresh look. But I like the setup. 5-minute, 1-hour, 2-hour, 4-hour weekly squeeze, all of which have a buy signal. And there is, what else here? Dominion. This one has a 2-day squeeze, which is pretty solid. And better yet, a 4-hour squeeze. That one is perfect. There is, what else here? CEG. Not a bad looking 4-hour squeeze. And that makes up the bulk of my watch list. XLP, XLU, Nvidia, Amazon, Google, and then as always, most important, the S&Ps and the QQQ. And keep in mind, we're at some pretty big levels here. So these could be pretty big inflection points. If they can't break that daily 50, that might be all she wrote here as far as the pop. If they can break it and keep it above that weekly 50, there might be room here for a bit more upside. If the bulls can keep on making progress, sometime soon, it could be this month, could be the following month, eventually, the 3-day squeezes will fire. When they fire, that's going to be a nice move. Whether it's a move into a brand new all-time high or a move into a new low. Either which way, I am here for it. So any questions, anything y'all want to take a look at, throw it on at me. And a quick look here at the futures. A little bit of green in the futures. Let's see, NQ. Any squeeze action for the NQ? Who would have thunk it? A 3-day squeeze. S&P futures up about 0.4. No squeezes. The rut. The rut is popping. A daily, a 3-day, and a weekly. And what about the YM? A weekly, a 3-day, and a daily. So here's the beauty of it all. When a bigger time frame squeeze fires, that always makes for our best swing trading. All kinds of momentum, all kinds of wind at your back. Exhibit A, the weekly squeeze in the QQQ. Or better yet, we'll stick with the theme. Look at the last 3-day squeeze. 3-day squeeze, fresh momentum cross, squeeze fires, and all of December, January, February, March, you're getting a nice move higher. The monthly squeeze on the SPX, just as beautiful. Big monthly squeeze, fresh momentum cross, squeeze fires, and we're getting a cool $1,000 push higher. I, for one, would love another $1,000 push higher. So keep an eye on those. They'll be big. They'll be big. All right, Joe. So energy. Energy is my favorite monthly chart. Whether it be XLE, ExxonMobil, Valero, Oxy, Chevron, EOG. All right, here's XOM. Here is Valero, EOG, Oxy, and Chevron. The exception of Chevron, they're all A+ setups. Now, the only tricky thing, that multi-time frame alignment, if they're going to take that monthly squeeze, break it out, fire that thing to the upside, kick off a push towards 105, every time frame inside that monthly squeeze has to confirm the same move. If we drop down to, say, the weekly chart looks really good. Buy signal, good structure, perfect 12. If we drop down to the daily time frame, not quite as aligned for a push higher. It's a bit more neutral. Structure has gone neutral. The big three signals have gone neutral. And we got a big three score of -1. So it's a matter of patience, I think. You can have the perfect monthly squeeze, and I think we do here. If our lower time frames aren't on board, if they're not also aligned for a push higher, you get nothing of substance from that weekly squeeze, or the monthly squeeze rather. So I think the key here in the short term, key number one, can they hold that daily 50? I think a really important level of support there at that daily 50. And then key number two, can they stabilize it back above that daily 21? If they can keep it back above that daily 21, we get ourselves a better looking daily chart. Then I think they're in much better shape here to take that monthly squeeze, fire that thing to the upside. So my best piece of advice, if you're playing that monthly, give that trade plenty of time till expiration. I've got the 105 calls for August. So I'm giving that all of May, all of June, all of July, and most of August. Better yet, I've only got half my typical size. If my typical position size is, say, 5% of my account, right now I've got 2.5. Half my size. about 3.5 months till expiration, I can give that daily chart a little bit more time to clean things up. Where if I've got a 10% position size and cause it expire in about 2 weeks, I might be crap out of luck here. So what I would like to see is in the short term, can they clean things up across lower time frames? And then at some point this summer, can they get the party going here from that monthly? If they can do that, then we'll all live happily ever after. Joe, Palantir. What's up, Joe? Good morning. Palantir. Let's take a peek. So they have earnings tonight, Joe. So I tell you what, Joe, we'll come back to this one tomorrow morning. We'll see what's up with earnings. The major thing that sticks out is the triple squeeze, the daily, the 2-day, and the 3-day. And going into earnings with bigger squeezes, that can have some implications where if they gap it up, and they gap it up in a big fashion, they can take that daily squeeze, fire that thing to the upside. They can then trigger the 2-day squeeze, and the 2-day squeeze can trigger the 3-day squeeze. So you kind of get that snowball effect where one squeeze fires, then the next squeeze fires, and you're getting yourself what could be a pretty outsized move. But if they gap it down on earnings, that could all unfold, of course, in the opposite direction. And then Shopify, shop till we drop. Same thing here for Shop. Earnings in a few days with a weekly, a 3-day, a daily, and a 4-hour squeeze. If they gap it up or gap it down, that could get a nice party going. Going into earnings, it's a little neutral. Structure label's blue. Squeeze label's blue. The big 3 label is blue. And the big 3 score is a 3. So we can also come back to that one after the announcement. David, I'm working on a few updates, and I'm trying to push here in the next couple of weeks. So your set will look a little bit different than mine for the time being. That's the cause of that. Good eye, though, my friend. Good eye. And then folks on YouTube, good morning, Joe. Good morning, Russ. Yeah, Pride and Envy for the SPY here. They're right up on that daily 50. Now, we're going to gap up to the tune of about 0.5%. That should put it north of that 50. Now, again, the key this morning, at that daily 50, they could set a big bull trap. Back above that daily 50. Come on in, bulls. The water's warm. Everybody jumps in. Everybody gets long. Everybody buys their calls. And then they pull the old switcheroo and they dump it. For a path higher from here, at a minimum, they have to hold that daily 21. But better yet, if they can hold that daily 50, then I think we're shaping up for a nice push higher. The 21 and the 50. Maurice, good morning, Maurice. NRG and GCT. NRG. Yeah, nice move going here. So they've got earnings tomorrow before the open. Which, as we know, that can change everything. Putting earnings aside, it's a pretty good-looking chart. Right? Good trend, good structure. Got a big daily squeeze. I like it. At a minimum, I like it for a push towards $80. The bigger question for now, does earnings accelerate that move, or does earnings rain on the parade? We'll find out. And then GCT. You got some good squeeze action here. 5-minute, 15-minute, a daily, a 2-day, and a 3-day. With earnings on the 9th. So same thing. Good structure, bunch of squeezes, a really good looking 3-day squeeze. Earnings can do one of two things. It can accelerate the move higher out of that 3-day squeeze, or it could crush the 3-day squeeze. I like it though. Looks pretty good. And then Livewire, good morning. Yeah, Duke. I'd love to buy some Duke. I'm more of a UNC guy, but I'd love to buy some Duke. With earnings tomorrow before the open, I've got to hold off for now. And here's the thing: holding off until earnings. Sometimes you feel like a genius for doing that, and then other times that can break your heart. One name that broke my heart, stomped all over it, Moderna. 2-hour, 4-hour daily, like all kinds of great looking squeeze action into earnings. I held off, and they gap it up, huge push, and Moderna takes off without me. The one that got away. And then Coin. Yeah, I think Coin had earnings already, right? Yeah, they did. Little gap up here. So as far as that daily squeeze goes, it's a little neutral. Big 3 score of -3. Structure is neutral. Let's go take a peek at the 2-day. The 2-day today. So I think what I'm going to do today is run a scan for 3-day squeezes. More so just for context than anything. We've got them on the indices, we've got them on the sectors, we have them on the big dogs, and we got one here on Coin. Now, probabilities-wise, take the 3-day squeeze in Coin, take the 3-day squeeze in the sectors, take the 3-day squeeze in the Amazons, etc. They should all move, or most of them will move, with our 3-day squeeze in the QQQ and the SPX. If Mama and Papa Market take their 3-day squeezes and fire them to the upside, then Google, Amazon, etc., Coinbase, XLP, much, much, much better odds. They take their own 3-day squeezes and fire them to the upside. Vice versa, Mama and Papa Market puke. They crumble and they break their 3-day squeezes short. Then the rest of them can follow suit in the same fashion. Market first, and then the stocks. Nicholas, good morning. Real. All right, I like what I see so far. Lots of buy signals. Lots of green. Beautiful 2-day squeeze. Earnings tomorrow. I hate earnings season. I'm not very fond. 30-minute, 1-hour, 2-hour, and a beautiful 2-day squeeze. Earnings can accelerate that, or earnings can ruin all of that. It is a bit of a mystery. But all right, my friends, I'll let you go here. Markets open up in about 15 minutes. Let's make it a great week. And if you're in my group, you know the motto for the month of May: A+ or bust. Laser focused on trading nothing but A+ setups. That could be an A+ setup on a monthly chart. That could be an A+ setup on a 2-minute time frame. We'll take them where we can get them. If we got them nowhere, then we're walking the dog and patiently waiting. So have a great week. For those of you here in Essentials, I'll be back today at 10:30 a.m. Central, and we'll keep the party going. For those of you on YouTube, I'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same channel. Adios, y'all.